Hey guys, it's me AZODi, and today I'm going to show you how to write a K-pop chorus. If you want more videos like this, I'd really appreciate your subscription. Beat on its own. Forest sort of shrubbery or leaves, and I've layered it over the top of the kick to make it more interesting and original. A bottle popping, which I got from Splice, cut up the sample into a little sort of space filler in between all the other percussion. This helps yet again to make it more original, more kind of the AZODi sound per se. Listen to the frequency that the sort of bottle pops at, and you can kind of slot it in kind of around the snare. Remember, when you're songwriting and producing, it's like an audio storybook where you have the intro, where you have the most minimal form of the song theme and concept, and then as you progress through the song, you start to introduce new elements into the mix, and you can do that on a very small scale or a scale overarching the entire song. I prefer to do it per half a section, right? So all I did, really subtle, helps lift the song, is that I just added a tambourine. Tambo. Pickle bass! Yeah, Rick and Morty reference completely. Quite a gritty sort of bass. I use this in like everything. Enters the B chorus, the chords change, and this is kind of to show development. It's to show the listener, okay, we've moved into a new part of the chorus, this is the next part, the low mids. What I'll do is I will duplicate the bass, slide it up an octave, giving it a small little boost around the 250 to 300 hertz range, just to fill out that space that isn't being covered so much by the bass. The sound I normally use for this is one of my own from Serum, and I've called it Crunchy Goodness. Got the lamest names, haven't I? Yeah, and it's just a carbon copy of the bass with slight alterations in the EQ and an octave higher. And then we'll add the bass. It's very subtle, but it kind of just sits slightly on top. This is a huge good tip that for any producer out there, just layering as many elements as you can together, and what it does is just generally thickens out the sound. It generally helps you create your own tone and vibe, and you'll have these go-to instruments that you keep going back to that you know works, it's proven to work, and over time you become much more efficient as a producer and songwriter because you know which sounds work together. Every week I'm putting down about 3 to 5 entire song ideas, but this could be anything from just a verse and an intro all the way through to a finished song. I'll axe say 4 songs and stick with one and sink all my energy into that song. You don't want to put all your energy into a song that turns out okay. So if you just keep putting ideas down, there's going to be an idea eventually it's just going to resonate with you, and you're going to go, yeah, that's awesome. You're going to get this gut feeling that feels great, and then you want to sink all your energy and emotion and time into that. I kind of like to think of it as rapid fire songwriting. If you notice the impact of the song, I have added a subtle 808 with yeah, just like an aggressive sort of cut. Chorus kicks in, there's this nice sort of sub layer kind of covered. And then on its own. Easy. Alright, cool. So these are the chords that I wrote for this song. Now, I'm not too sure what your experience is with K-pop writing, and this generally goes with J-pop as well, and sometimes C-pop. You kind of want to be always trying to throw in interesting chords. Now, you don't have to do it all the time, but you try to have it as much as possible. I always prefer to use sevenths, derivatives of sort of jazz chords and progressions, and then putting your own spin on it. The more interesting chords, the better. Listen to the chords by themselves; they actually will jump in and out of key every now and then, especially in the A chorus. If you're interested in the chords, don't worry about it because I've got them all in like an AZODi MIDI pack. But I'll put a link in the description below where you can check them out. But I've got like about 30 different ones of all songs and chords that I've collected over the years. Yeah, so as you can see, I've actually stacked 3 different types of chord here. Now what I do is, on its own, it sounds pretty thin. I like to layer it up with this next one here, which is number 3. Now have a listen to that on its own, and you'll hear that it's a bit more kind of mid orientated and less bright. Cool, then I'm going to layer them up and you can have a listen. Alright, so what I like to do is add a very compressed, artificial sounding sort of piano. I use the Giant from Native Instruments, which you get free with Complete, or free or included. What I did is I went in and basically, normally it sounds quite natural, but what I did is I took all the settings off, and I went into that and made it sound kind of artificial, apart from the compressor. What I did is I whacked all the velocity up super high. This gives it another sort of like bright attack. I just wanted to show you as much as possible with this. Cool, and then together. You've got these chords kind of attacking around the kind of 50 to 75 pan. You kind of want stuff wide and then sat backwards in the mix. So what I did is I have these kind of go-to pads that I use. I think I call it Mars Colony. And it's this kind of cool sort of spacey sort of synth. I write them in like they're all long and like they're not very as cutty as the previous chords, but you kind of have them sitting in the background. And then listen to it in the mix. Right, a high tension. This is like a note I like to do. This increases the tension and hype. Hold as long as possible, pretty much a note that is played between all the chords. This way, when the chords move around and change, it's still going to sound quite nice and coherent. But as you notice towards the end, the chords start hitting, I think, like it starts clashing basically, so I move the note up. I always, if I have the option in songwriting, melody writing or anything, is always to take the note higher and not lower. The reason being is I learned this was a Max Martin technique where with his vocal melodies he would tend to always lift the note as opposed to drop the note, because lifting the note increases the hype, it increases the anticipation. So that's a cool little technique there, is whenever you're melody writing, always try and, if you have the option, is to lay the note higher than lower. Cool. Very subtle techniques. So normally in the B chorus, you don't have to do this all the time, but I like to do this, is to introduce the hook, this thing that's going to be really infectious and like get people to sing the melody. What did I call this one? Oh, this is one of my sounds. I called it Kitty Loaf. Now have a listen to this on its own. So it's quite repetitive to keep it driving and keep people memorizing it off the first listen. Secondly, I kind of made it sound kind of quirky and weird because I think that just gives the song more character. It's more likely to stick in your head if it's kind of a strange sound. And then all I did is I laid it up with a support sound, which I think I called Blue Marbles, which is a kind of pluck sound. And it kind of just provides it a bit of backbone and a bit more of an attack, I think. Let's have a listen. To help develop the theme and the chorus and whatnot, I introduced another element, which is kind of like this cool little arp. The hook's kind of bang in the middle. So what I did is I put like pancake, which is like a panning effect. So it's kind of like sitting behind. If you got it up there at the front, imagine this is the highs, this is the low. You got the hook at the up the top of the pyramid, let's say, and then you've kind of got this kind of panning around the same frequency, but it's kind of like going into the sides of it. And then I put some sidechain compression on it. So have a listen to it by itself. And that's how I write a K-pop chorus. If you guys want the serum sounds that I spent years working on and coming back to, as well as all the MIDI chord progressions for K and J-pop, I'll put a link in the description box below for you. Thanks so much, and I will catch you on Thursday for my next K-pop reaction and analysis video. Thanks so much.